You never forget the sound of people laughing at you. Not when it's the kind of laughter that cuts deeper than any insult. Not when it comes from the people you trusted, the ones you called family. Her mother had this way of chuckling under her breath, as if anything I said about dreams, real, scary, maybe even ambitious dreams, was a child's fantasy. Her father? He didn't laugh. He scoffed. The kind of dismissive grunt that said, "You'll never be good enough for my daughter." And her, the woman I married, the woman I thought would be in the passenger seat of this long road I wanted to travel. She didn't always laugh. No, she did something worse. She pitied me. That tight smile she'd offer whenever I shared my business plans or sketches for the brand I wanted to build. The way she'd nod like she was indulging a child with a crayon and a wild imagination. "You're sweet," she used to say. "But let's be realistic. You're not built for that kind of thing." And for a while, I believed her. We were married 3 years before the unraveling began. Subtle at first. A missed anniversary dinner. The constant comparisons to her co-workers' husbands. The phrase, "you don't make enough to understand," started slipping into conversations like it was part of our vows. I tried. I stayed late at the second job. Saved up to take her to Italy, a place she always talked about. But when we got there, she spent the whole time texting. I saw her smiling at her phone in ways she hadn't smiled at me in months. She said it was work. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to know. Not yet. The divorce came the following spring. I remember it because the cherry blossoms were blooming outside the courthouse window while she signed the papers like she was filling out a lunch order. Her lawyer smiled more than she did. My name was a formality on the paper, something to be discarded like a broken tool. She got the apartment, the car, and half the savings. I got a couch from Craigslist, a studio apartment above a laundromat, and a burning silence that sat on my chest every night. But here's the thing. There's a kind of fire that comes from being underestimated. A cold, quiet, relentless fire. And I had a matchbox full of their words. I worked mornings at a construction site and evenings at a diner. I took showers at the gym, ate canned tuna and instant noodles. And every spare second, I built. A logo on a napkin became a prototype. A prototype became a website. I cold called companies on my breaks. I designed packaging in the booth after my diner shift while my coworkers smoked outside. I fell asleep reading tax codes and watching tutorials on marketing strategy. I stopped responding to her emails. First, they were polite, checking in. Then, they turned bitter. "You'll never make it without me," one of them read. "You never did." That one, I printed out. Taped it above my desk in the corner of that little apartment. Year 1 was survival. Year 2 was ignition. I landed a partnership with a local distributor. The brand started gaining traction. Sales ticked up, then jumped, then exploded. I reinvested every cent, lived like I was still broke. And soon enough, I wasn't. The day I closed on my first house, a modest place, but mine, I sat on the porch and cried. Not because I missed her, not because of what she'd done, but because I'd done what no one thought I could do, what even I had doubted some nights. That same week, she sent me a message. Just one line. "You look happy." I didn't respond. Not out of spite. Not to be cold. I just didn't need to anymore. The funny thing about starting over is how little you realize you had to unlearn first. It wasn't just her voice in my head that I had to quiet. It was mine too. The voice she helped shape. The one that said, "You're only worthy if someone else sees you that way." That first year alone was loud. Not with sound, but with doubt. There were nights I stared at my ceiling, asking if I was building something or just distracting myself from the wreckage. Nights when a ding from my phone made my stomach drop, only to see it was a promotional text or some app trying to sell me calm. But as the months passed, something shifted. It started small, a stranger buying the first product I ever sold, a handmade organizer kit I designed and assembled with supplies from a discount store. She left a 5-star review, said it made her mornings easier. I read that review 20 times. Then there was Tom, first employee. He showed up to the interview in an oversized jacket and shoes that had seen better days. But his resume? Sharp. Real sharp. We met in a coffee shop because my office at the time was a storage unit with a fold-out table. I told him the truth. "I can't offer you much right now, but if you build with me, I'll make sure you never regret it." He shook my hand and never looked back. We packed orders together, argued over logos, fixed broken website links at 3 a.m. The grind didn't scare him. Maybe because he saw the fire in me that others laughed at. Maybe because he had one too. By year 2, things picked up. Slowly at first, then faster. And the faster it grew, the quieter I became. No celebration posts. No revenge quotes. Just work. You see, there's a strange power in letting people think you disappeared. Her family assumed I was back home with my parents. That I'd crawled into the kind of failure they warned her about. Her sister even posted a birthday photo with the caption, "Some people get stronger. Others get smaller." Grateful we're still rising. I screenshotted it. Saved it in a folder called Fuel. That folder? It grew thick over time. Around month 20, I moved into the house. It wasn't flashy. Just a clean 2-bedroom with a garden I didn't know how to maintain yet. But I walked through it barefoot like a king without a crown, and for the first time in years, I exhaled. I started working out again. Not to impress anyone. Just because I liked how it felt to carry weight and not buckle. I called my dad more. Cooked actual meals. Even adopted a dog, Scout. He's part husky, part vacuum cleaner. One night, around 11 p.m., I got another message. This time, from her mother. "We heard about your company. Impressive. If you ever want to reconnect, dinner's on us." I stared at the screen for a long time. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I realized I felt nothing. Not anger. Not pride. Nothing. That's when I understood. Their opinion no longer mattered. Success didn't erase what happened. It didn't magically heal the parts of me that were torn up by betrayal. But it did do one thing. It reminded me who I was before they tried to shrink me. And who I was now. A man who could build. A man who had built. I didn't plan on seeing her again. Life's funny like that. You work so hard to move forward, to forget the wreckage behind you. And just when the road smooths out, the past finds a way to reroute your path. Not to pull you back, but to remind you how far you've come. It was at a trade expo downtown. My brand had been invited to showcase alongside some industry names. We had a booth, a staff, even a little queue of curious folks waiting to see what we'd made. I was standing there, dressed like a guy who finally didn't have to fake it, when I saw her. She was across the room, near a display for a lifestyle brand. Her hair was shorter, and she wore a smile I recognized, tight at the corners, like it cost her to hold it. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just dulled. Like life had been chewing on her too. Our eyes met. Just for a second. Enough for her to register who I was. She made her way over slowly, unsure. I could see it. The hesitation, the calculation. I stayed put, calm. There was no fire in my chest. No rage or resentment. Just curiosity. A quiet sense of closure inching closer with every step she took. "Hi," she said. I nodded. "Hey." She looked around, gestured toward the booth. "This is yours." "Yeah. It's impressive." "Thanks." There was a silence then. Not heavy, just unfamiliar. Like two people who used to share everything now couldn't find a single sentence that didn't feel borrowed. "You look happy," she said finally. I smiled. Not big. Not for show. Just a small truth passing through my lips. "I am." She looked down, then up, like she wanted to say more. Maybe apologize. Maybe explain. But I didn't need it. "I should get back," I said, nodding toward the crowd. She nodded, too. "Of course. I just wanted to say hi." And then she was gone. Just like that. I watched her walk away without feeling the need to follow, or fix, or rewind anything. That was the moment I realized I had fully healed. Not because I had built something she could see, but because I no longer needed her to see it. Now, I live in a house I designed, in a quiet neighborhood where I know the mailman by name. I have a team that respects me, a business that challenges me, and a life built brick by brick, not out of revenge, but resilience. I go on hikes. I read more. I laugh easier. Sometimes, when I walk my dog past the park, I see couples on benches, holding hands, sharing stories. And it doesn't sting. It reminds me of who I was, and who I've become. They said I'd be nothing without them. They were wrong. I became everything, not in spite of them, but in the silence they left behind. In the space they thought would bury me. I built a life, and I let them watch. But I never looked back. Not once.